Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and clickers, presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin, here with Barrett Dudley to discuss and review episode 5 of The Last of Us Season 2 on HBO. How are we doing, Barrett?
Oh, man. I'm kind of running on fumes today, TBH, and that's because I did not sleep well at all last night.
Oh.
And
did the episode affect you?
I'm not sure. I think yes. It's not, I was not thinking about the episode. It's not what was actively keeping me awake. I wasn't like, oh my God, the scars and the clickers, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like...
That's good.
Yeah. But I did get a late start on this episode, and I think, for me, this one was the most tension-filled and like the most like... This was the hardest episode yet, I would say, for me. I rank it over number 2 because episode 2 until that last 10 minutes was very much like an action adventure ride for me. Right. I felt like I was more like on a roller coaster. This one I was just like oh
God, what's going to happen?
Yes, very much so. And it was like one thing after another after another. You kept being put in these like tension-filled situations where you had no idea what was going to happen. It had arguably the again for me the worst violence in this show yet. And so yeah, I think it just played a role. I think it factored in to my poor sleepy times.
It affected you.
Yeah,
you were affected.
Yeah,
not infected though.
No, affected, not infected. But I'm excited to talk about it because there was a lot happening.
Indeed, and we only have 2 episodes left. Penultimate podcast next week. And I'm gonna kind of sprinkle in my thoughts on the episode as we go, because I agree with some of what you're saying.
Sure.
But I want to tie it into the opening of the episode.
Right.
My contribution.
Okay.
So this one is titled "Feel Her Love" and was only 45 minutes long. Second shortest episode in the series thus far, behind the season 1 finale, which was only 44 minutes. Written by Craig Mazin, directed by Stephen Williams. This one opens with Hammerhands, as you call her. Hammerhand, a.k.a. Hammerhand. She's going and finding that her soldiers have completely sealed off the stairwell to the basement. And I like the way they did this, where at first you're like, what's she looking at? Why is she There's no, dialogue. She walks into a room that has a whole bunch of soldiers in it, and she's staring at what you can't really tell. I mean, I guess you can kind of assume there was a door there.
They do like a slow pan close-up on it, and I'm just like, no idea. No idea what that is. What's happening?
Metal sheets. Yeah. Like, I really didn't know what was going on. Obviously, we find out pretty quickly, so I kind of like the way they did this. But Hanrahan then interviews a woman named Elise, who gave the order for the soldiers to seal off the stairwell. They also mentioned that Isaac is off dealing with a shooting near the borderline between the WLF and the Scars, that the treaty might be broken, Hanrahan tells us. So, that was kind of a bummer to get up top. I was like, oh, fuck, we're probably not going to see Isaac this episode, which we did not.
Quick aside on Isaac, that I can't believe nobody called in about last week, or maybe they did and we just didn't get to the call. Did you know that Jeffrey Wright plays this role in the video game?
Yeah, I said that.
Did you?
Yeah, you just didn't listen to me.
Did you say that on the...
You didn't listen!
Okay. Maybe you... I don't know how...
I even told the story about how the woman from Westworld...
Yeah.
That was in Westworld with him, recruited him to do the voice acting on The Last of Us.
I thought you meant she recruited him to do the show.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. Anyways, I learned this last week.
But, yeah.
But yes.
You should have learned it on our very podcast.
Some wires were crossed, and I did not realize that.
Shame on you.
That Jeffrey Wright, he is Isaac in the video game.
Shame.
They got Jeffy. They got Jeffrey to do the video game.
And we should also note, this gives me an opportunity to correct something. Those actors that did The Last of Us Part 2, including the woman who played Ellie, her name is slipping my mind, but like they do all the motion acting too. They stick all those little
all the
balls all over their bodies.
Yeah.
And so they're doing more than just voice acting. So saying they're just voice actors is actually kind of doing a disservice to how much they did. But this woman that Hanrahan is interviewing, Elise, says she sealed off the stairwell, killing their own men, including her own son, Leon, because the cordyceps was in the air. Spores. Now, spores are a huge part of the video games that you have to use like gas masks and stuff to work around.
Yeah.
That were not featured at all in season 1. And a lot of the dialogue around that online, the conversation around that online was like, well, it was probably just too difficult to also have to be dealing with that constantly. Plus, you don't want your actors always wearing masks, right?
Right.
And visually, it's probably difficult to convey exactly how the spores look in the game. It's sort of just more of like, it makes sense in a video game, maybe didn't make as much sense in a TV show.
Not the spores! Not the spores!
Yeah, so we'll talk more about the spores when we see them, but they finally come up here.
That was Nick Cage doing spores.
Yeah. What was that movie called? It's not
The Wicker Man.
Yeah, okay. It's not The Beekeeper. That's a new movie. That's a Jason Statham movie that just got a sequel signed off on it because everybody needs The Beekeeper too.
Well, if Jason Statham is doing your movie, it's just such a guaranteed smash hit success that he gets a sequel. Multiple of them, typically.
Beekeeper.
Yeah. The Beekeeper, yeah.
Not the bees! Not the spores! So yeah, Elise had to seal her own son in.
Yeah.
But he told her to do it, for the record.
Yes, he radioed up and was like, you got to seal
it off, yeah. Hammerhands tells Elise to keep this quiet. We don't need everybody knowing about the spore situation.
It's on a need-to-know basis.
Indeed. Roll opening credits.
Okay. That's an important. That's actually a little important note now that we're here reviewing. So, who did they not tell?
She's like, I think she says something to the extent of,
because obviously all of Elise's men and her soldiers knew,
but they might not.
Because they just did the sealing.
Yeah,
the sealing in.
Yeah, and but they might not really understand why they're doing the sealing in. This will come back up at the end of the episode.
Right, which I'm just now putting together.
Yeah. So actually, let's just save that conversation point for the end.
All right.
Because it definitely did flag for me too. Next, we get our Seattle Day 2 title screen, and then we see Jackie from that 70s show, Dina, working on a plan for how to get from where she and Ellie currently are to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I kept having this, like, looking at Jackie or Dina and being like, who does she remind me of? And I got a DM this morning from one of our listeners who was like, dude, is Dina not giving you major Jackie from that 70s show vibes? Especially because she's rocking like this like 70s style jacket. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's who she kind of reminds me of.
Mila Kunis, huh?
Yeah, Mila Kunis. A little bit of Mila in there. But she's working on a plan for how to get from where she and Ellie currently are, wherever they're holed up, to the hospital so that they can find Nora.
Correct.
Right? They were listening to the radios. They figured out like Nora is working in the hospital somehow.
Yeah.
Dina doesn't want Ellie's help triangulating because Ellie is non-school oriented. I like how they kind of played with this dynamic between the two, right? The version of it that was sort of laid out flat to begin with was like, Dina is the brains and Ellie is the brawn, and they've kind of had a scene in every episode since that sort of reinforced that.
And they're ripping, you know? They're ripping. They're doing rips.
What are they ripping?
They're like ripping on each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're kind of a dumbass. Good old-fashioned flirting. So Ellie goes and finds a guitar and ponders what it would be like to lose Dina. Don't know if you remember this, Barrett, but Joel was a big guitar guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I feel like after 25, 30 years, these guitars would have way more dust on them.
Right? Well-preserved guitars.
Like,
just all over this
you
map.
You should see my house if we don't dust for like 2 weeks. I mean, covered in dust.
And what is dust? Is it mostly dead skin cells? Isn't that a lot of it?
What is dust?
Let's ponder it for a moment, shall we?
Dust is dust. I think dust is lint and dirt and...
It says, dust is made of fine particles of solid matter. Well, yeah, okay. And then it gets specific. On Earth... Good. This is what we're looking for. It generally consists of particles in the atmosphere that come from various sources such as soil lifted by wind, volcanic eruptions, and pollution. Dust in homes is composed of about 20 to 50% dead skin cells.
Wow.
So I was kind of right.
You were kind of right.
I know my dust.
The more you know. So yeah, I'm like, what this giant theater? It just has no dust in it. What the filters are still just cranking after 30 years? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I hear you. People complained about the guitar she took out last episode, like having absolutely zero damage. Like that case had just
the case
completely
had preserved it. You know,
completely protected it though to brand new, mint condition guitar. Yeah.
I think that the strings seems like those would probably decay after 30 years, regardless of their the protection. But
the tensile strength.
Yes. But anyways, continue. Yeah, she finds some nice guitars, picks one up, does a few strums and a chord and a little bit of one stanza, you might say.
She sings one line.
Yeah, one line,
like,
one bar.
What would happen if Dina died?
And it's too sad.
It's too heavy for her to even think about. She just fucking stops. I also wanted to mention, you said this episode is one of the most stressful for you. I thought that intro of, the WLF having sealed off this area and told us it's in the air,
right,
really set up all that tension for the rest of the episode. Because, you remembered how the spores worked in the game, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if I got to spores.
I vaguely did, and the gist of it is that you can see them, they're visible, and if you get too close to them, you will get infected and die.
Yeah.
So you have to avoid the spores. They're constantly an obstacle over the course of the game.
Yeah.
But for non-gamers, and if you put yourself in their headspace, what they have basically just been told is that the cordyceps virus or whatever is now airborne.
Yeah. Yes.
So
scary stuff.
I feel like if you didn't play the game, it's an even more horrifying concept because you're like, wait, what? Can it just go anywhere? Is everyone screwed?
No, especially post-COVID.
Is the war over? Yeah, no. Especially when we've recently dealt with a worldwide pandemic of our own. It feels really, really ominous and threatening, and you kind of sit with that over the course of the episode. So Dina finishes her work and says there's a gap where the WLF aren't patrolling. It's some long-ass building. Now, to be honest, I didn't really follow what she was saying she was doing. She's listening to the radio chatter and using what they say to triangulate the position of the WLF patrols.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's a fine enough explanation for me.
Yeah.
But I did kind of feel like Ellie. I was like, I don't.
Look at this guy. Never triangulated before.
I don't understand. I just straight up was like, all right, yeah, whatever, fine. I guess she's just really good at whatever she's doing there.
Yeah.
No protractor.
It would have been fast. Would have been faster if she had that protractor.
Unfortunate. They both realize the reason the WLF aren't patrolling the long-ass building is likely because it's filled with infected, right? They don't go in that area. Another area that's closed off probably, right? So Dina also teaches us about Amish people and says that maybe the scars are like that, that they don't use technology, as part of their belief system or religion or whatever. And honestly, Amish people are sort of the butt of a joke in America often. They get a lot of hate. This is the first time in my life that when she was explaining this, she was like, they live like they're in the 1830s or whatever. And I was like, God, that sounds awesome. No internet, no social media. Granted, there would be no podcast, so I don't know what what our jobs would be. But yeah,
you would be a town crier, a town yeller,
just yelling from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Let's talk about last night's episode. Gather around. Oh, I guess there wouldn't be episodes either, though. They don't get to watch TV. Let's talk about last night's play.
The play.
It was a play.
Yeah, a town crier is a person appointed to make public announcements within a town, often by shouting or using a bell.
Okay, so that would be me.
That'd be you. Yeah.
Great. Hope I get a nice bell.
Yeah, but then you would obviously take it further and engage in conversation about said announcents, with the townspeople.
And also the plays that we're putting on as a town.
And also the plays, obviously, yes.
That'd be my main focus, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're using this to explain how, it makes no sense that the WLF is just constantly broadcasting their positions via public radio signals. They needed a reason that it's okay for Ellie and Dina to be listening in on all this. Wouldn't the WLF be able, or wouldn't the Seraphites be able to do the same thing? And this is our explanation.
Yeah.
The Seraphites don't do technology, right? It's why they don't have. It's why they're hammer people.
Yeah,
they
that's
love a
right,
good
that's
hammer.
right, that's right.
Yeah. So on the way to the hospital, Ellie asks Dina what she's going to name her kid, and Dina jokes that if it's a girl, she'll name it Ellie. If it's a boy, she'll name it Elijah. And Ellie's like, really? And she's like, no, you dumbass. Then they stumble across a bunch of Seraphites who were shot up against a wall below like a Feel Her Love graffiti. What's it called when you do like a mural?
Yeah.
It's a
mural.
Yeah. It's a mural, a Feel Her Love mural with their prophet up there, I think. Mm-hmm. And then below it, they wrote something like, feel this, bitch. Mm-hmm. Did you see that? Did you catch that? Yeah. Mean, real mean.
And a bunch of dead scars.
And they killed all of them. Yeah, they shot them all up against that wall. So Ellie finally realizes it's completely insane to risk her pregnant best friend / girlfriend / co-parent's life on this revenge mission, and tells Dina she can take her back, that she doesn't need to do this with her, which a lot of us were waiting for, I think. Like a moment of enlightenment, a light bulb going off where you're like, you know what, maybe it's not the best idea to take my pregnant bestie on this suicide mission into a war zone just to try to hunt down my, stepdad's killer, basically. And Dina responds by sharing a heartwarming tale of her first kill when she was 8 years old and she shot her mother and sister's murderer. 8 years old was her first kill.
I'm telling you, this was a
that was dark
episode. This was a incredibly dark episode.
Yeah, that was a lot to get hit with.
Yeah.
8, dude.
Yeah. It's tough out there in the apocalypse,
It is. So Dina uses that story to justify why she wants to go with Ellie to avenge Joel, who she also loved. You have to remember.
Right.
But
and we get a little. They kind of sort of acknowledged another piece that we had talked about, which is like why is nobody asking what Joel did to have this crew hunt him down like this? And Dina kind of acknowledges, she's like, doesn't matter what he did to their people. Like, we have to. Seeking vengeance is our own right as well. Kind of like regardless of what he did. So a little bit of a nod to like, I don't really know what he did. I know he did something bad that obviously caused this, but
But no matter what he did, he didn't deserve to die the way he did.
Yeah, right.
And we have to hunt this guy down. She goes so far as to say that if she hadn't killed, when she was 8, if she hadn't killed her mother and sister's murderer right there, she would have like hunted him to the ends of the earth for the rest of her life or whatever. And she tells Ellie that if she dies, it's on her, on Dina. Mm-hmm. Like, if I die, it's on me. But it's your call, Ellie, whether or not we keep going. And Ellie chooses for them to keep going. So Ellie kind of continues to be a dum-dum. I was sort of hopeful, just for a split second here, that maybe she would make what I would call the right choice.
Got it.
Because this is insane what they're trying to pull off here. And it proves to be insane by the end of the episode. So, yeah. You know what Ellie and Dina could really use some of on their journey, Barrett?
What's that?
Factor meals. If you're like me, there's some days you get home from work or school or whatever, and you just want to be able to plop down on the couch and enjoy the next episode of your favorite TV show without worrying about what's for dinner. Factor takes this dream and makes it a reality with the best meals delivered straight to your door. My personal favorites right now are the truffle butter chicken and mushroom risotto with garlic roasted green beans. The blueberry pancakes are awesome for breakfast.
Oh, wow.
The charred corn and shredded chicken cavatappi with garlic cream sauce and broccoli. Garlic cream sauce. Also incredible for dinner. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Read the instructions, pop it in the microwave, boom, delicious, high-quality meal just like that. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. With 45 weekly menu options, you can choose gourmet meals that fit your goals, from Calorie Smart to Protein Plus to Keto and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. I would add their little smoothies are delicious. They're incredible. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. Get started at factormeals.com/OCC50off and use code OCC50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code OCC50off at factormeals.com/OCC50off for 50% off plus free shipping. factormeals.com/OCC50 off. Code OCC50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. So, Ellie and Dina make their way inside of a building. At first, I thought this was the hospital, but I don't think it was. It's like a midpoint between here and the hospital, perhaps. I think it's that long building they were talking about. Yeah, it's the long building, the long-ass building. Dina says there might be infected inside, but certainly not a horde. Now, this immediately feels a little bit different than, like, you know how Dina is when she's being smart and she's listening and she's counting and that kind of thing. This felt a little bit more like she was trying to convince herself.
Okay.
She's like, the WLF is right next door. They've got all their vehicles and lights and weapons, and there's no way the infected could just ignore that. So there might be like a few scattered in here, maybe a couple of clickers, but nothing we haven't dealt with before. Easy peasy. We should be fine, but you can kind of see it in her eyes like, oh God, I hope I'm right.
I also think they're on the heels. You know, they've just come off the light rail escape where they dealt with lots of classic horde clickers.
Yeah, full-on horde.
They are, you know, they're not smart. They're just hungry, driven to do whatever. Like, you know, they're the classic dum-dums, basically.
Need eat human brains.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they're not thinking about. I don't think the smart ones aren't top of mind at the moment.
No, unfortunately, they're not. But she does tell Ellie that shooting has to be a last resort because if they shoot, then the WLF will hear and come running, and then they'll be really screwed, right? So also, Dina tells Ellie that she loves her. Kind of felt like a ominous moment, honestly. And everyone knows Ellie loves her back. So cute. Unfortunately, what they find inside is one of those intelligent infected. What are we calling these? Stalkers?
Stalkers, yeah.
A stalker. And at first, they think it's only one. And they're coming up with a plan to deal with that one.
It's doing a whole bunch of new movements, by the way. It's like popping up and then dropping down and doing all.
Yeah,
it's doing all.
Oh, here I am. Oh, can't see me now. And but they're still doing like when you first hear it, it almost sounds like a woman struggling. Like
yes,
like
yes,
I'm
totally different.
I'm hurt. Come and help me. I need help. And they look over and see like a half of a body that's remaining from whoever was stupid enough to wander in here last. But yeah, they think there's only one. As they're coming up with a plan to deal with it, they unfortunately realize there are many more.
Their noises are human.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not the clicking of the Gus.
No, it's like
it's so. I can imagine this in the video game. Do you ever get to like some infected that are making this type of sound?
I think, I haven't played in so long that I can't remember, but someone did point out you actually do deal with stalkers in the first game.
Yeah.
But I don't think they function the same way as they do in the show. They've kind of elevated this for the TV show. So yeah, suddenly there's like 11 of them, and Ellie and Dina are surrounded by intelligent infected.
Yeah.
Now,
it's not good.
It's the first time we've seen these two in a holy shit, you're gonna die situation.
Yeah.
Like even with the Horde, it was like the Horde was coming from the other side of the train station that they were in.
Right.
They could clearly run. Like they had a chance.
Yes.
This one, they're legitimately surrounded. Like they're like, oh, let's go back the way we came. And you're like, yeah, do that. That's a great idea. They turn around and immediately see like 5 more.
Yeah.
Like, ha!
Yes.
Here we are. Like, yeah. So, Ellie decides,
sort of like the hyenas in Lion King, you know?
Yeah,
like,
just popping up all over the place.
All over the place, except for these ones are doing like a weird like whack-a-mole type movement. Like,
now you see me? Now you don't. Be prepared. So Ellie decides to try and save Dina's life and sacrifice herself. Very noble of her. She sends Dina to this like fenced off area. It wasn't the best plan. She's like, "Ooh, look, there's an area in there. You could go shut that gate and lock yourself in." And I was like, aren't they just gonna like rip the fencing down? Which they do.
You forget that these things can rip off fences, you know?
Like if they all come over there and start working it, she's still screwed. I realized she had to come up with a plan on the fly, and she did her best. I'm just saying. She sends Dina over the fenced-off area so she can enclose herself while Ellie fights off the infected. Unfortunately, Ellie gets overwhelmed pretty immediately, and the infected start ripping down the fencing pretty immediately. So just when it looks like they're toast and they're about to die, which you kind of know in the back of your head can't happen here, right? Like, I don't think anybody was watching this scene unfold like, oh, wow, there goes Ellie and Dina. I guess the show will be Tommy's now. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't built anybody else up enough to hand the reins off.
They did have a little bit of plot armor here. At the very least, one of them did. Right?
You could have seen Dina go, I guess.
Yeah. But this seemed like an unceremonious end for her.
Right. We get that shot where Ellie has like literally 6 of them on top of her, and I was like, yeah, but she's going to be fine.
Right.
Something has to happen here.
Yeah. Now, I did think that at various points, I thought also through this episode, I thought all sorts of things were going to happen. Here, I thought they were going to get captured by the WLF.
Yeah, that was my thought.
That was my thought.
WLF are going to come in.
I know we literally talked last week about how, or I think it was on our Patreon episode, about how it seemed likely that
they end up with one of these two.
That there were going to be some that there were going to be some followers from Jackson.
Oh, right.
Likely Tommy is what we kind of surmised there. So we had even talked about the possibility of them being met by, some folks from Jackson kind of chasing them down. But that was not in my head at this moment.
Not at all for me either, because frankly, because of the way Dina had described it, she's like, this building, this long ass building that they don't patrol, is like in the middle of their patrol route.
Right.
And I didn't have it in my head like, well, somebody good could come and save them.
Yeah.
Seems like this is surrounded by bad guys.
Yes.
So right when they look like they're about to die, Jesse comes in and saves the day, and immediately you're like, where the hell did this guy come from, right? I think in the after the episode, Craig Mazin mentioned that Jesse's entrance is very
Joel-like.
Joel-esque. Yeah. Like, because it's a shadowy figure.
They do play around with, like, Ellie has, like, this, like, crazy shocked look on her face, as you would, because who the hell is this?
Well, and I think she's like, so this is such a Joel moment.
Right.
Is it him somehow?
Yes.
They give us a bit of exposition to explain that Jesse found their map in the theater and simply followed it. He asks if Ellie got bit. Dina runs up and swears Ellie didn't get bit. Like, I know, I was watching from my area over there. No, she definitely didn't get bit. And they all just bail together just as the WLF arrive and, shots are fired and whatnot. Now, this was the only part of the episode that I was like, okay, it was very video gamey the way this all just sort of works out, right? Which sometimes people have complaints about this show that I'm like, yes, because it's based on a video game. Like, that's why things unfold the way they do, sort of. It's almost like an homage or a hat tip to the video game. Because shit like this happens in a video game, you don't ask 2 questions. You're like, oh, sick. All right, sweet. We got saved. We're out of here.
Yeah.
In a television show where it feels a little bit less realistic than maybe you would want it to, like Jesse just happened to be close by, find their map or whatever, follow them here, get them out right when they literally were about to die. It was a lot to deal with, right? And then also Jesse being so quick to be like, I just shot 6 infected off of you. They looked like they were tearing you apart. Did you get bit? And she's like, no. And Dina's like, no, she absolutely did not get bit. Absolutely did not. I was like, Dina, you're making it worse. If Dina runs up like that and I'm Jesse, I would think it's more likely that Ellie got bit. But, you kind of have to suspend disbelief for this thing. So they escape from the WLF into the park where the WLF do not follow because there's something bad in there, which they assume is likely more infected, right?
Yep.
And, of course, they are wrong. Jesse tells Ellie and Dina that he came with Tommy, but that Jesse and Tommy split up when they got to, like, the outskirts of the city to cover more ground. There's a lot of animosity between Jesse and the other two.
Yeah.
And really both of them, though. I think he's 2 parts. 1, he's really pissed off that they left Jackson, that they snuck out, that they didn't tell him. And then 2, there's likely some, like, relationship jealousy mixed in there as well, right? So before you know it, the trio finds out why the WLF don't go into the park, and it's not because they are infected, it's because this is Seraphite territory. They witness the Seraphites executing a member of the WLF using, like, a Dothraki blade to rip out his entrails while they hang him.
Yeah.
So this is their thing.
Yeah.
They've got the, like, scythe-style Dothraki blade.
Yeah.
And they don't just gut you.
No.
They gut you while they hang you.
That's right.
It's a little twofer. Yeah. They like that.
Gnarly.
They set him free, Barrett.
It was pretty gnarly.
They freed his soul. It was really gnarly, dude. And this got really creepy. And the way he, like, Dina gets hit in the leg with an arrow. Next thing you know, they're running again. And they get that close-up of, like, the guy who did the dismembering, who's like, you can't get away. She sees it all, or what? She sees everything.
Yeah.
Feel her love. I was like, oh God, fuck. Why does it have to be so creepy?
Yeah. Yep. Starting to get the bigger picture here on this this all-out war.
Yeah.
Not a lot to like.
No, not much to feel good about. This episode gave us nothing in the way of warmth or positivity.
No, it sure didn't.
Got darker. Got darker and heavier.
Yes.
So Dina takes that arrow to the leg. Once again, Ellie volunteers to create a diversion and lead the Seraphites away so Jesse and Dina can escape. Pause. Do you think Jesse and Dina did in fact escape? Because I'm concerned.
Yeah, I feel like they did, but not sure.
We'll continue.
Yeah.
The Seraphites give chase using all their crazy whistling communications, and eventually they turn back, though, which is generally how things work in video games as well. Like, bad guys will only chase you to a certain point, like so far, before they're like, oh, all right, well, we didn't find him. Got to get back to the area I'm programmed to patrol. You know?
Yeah.
But it makes sense in this case, too. Like, if the Seraphites don't venture out past a certain point, I mean, you're not just going to chase them
willy-nilly forever
out into danger. So it played. Suddenly, Ellie has eyes on the hospital where she's trying to go and find Nora, right? And there are WLF with guard dogs outside, one of which sniffs her out.
Yeah, and so she's in the park here, right? She gets away. She tricks the chasers by hiding in the trunk of a tree.
Right.
And then she's like, I think, she's thinking about how to get out of this park and rendezvous back with Dina and Jesse, right? Like that should be the mission here.
Yeah.
They're done. They got to go home. This is over. Jesse has saved them.
Time to get the hell out of here.
Back to Jackson. We're all gonna die here. But then she looks over and sees that she's right there. The hospital is right there.
And she's
I actually couldn't read that little sign when she looks over and sees it. And it was like I had my glasses on, everything.
It was like an emergency room sign or something?
It says like hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. But
pretty clear cut.
I couldn't see what she was looking at.
Yeah.
Like right in that moment. And then very quickly you realize that okay, she's sneaking in. She's found the place. She's sneaking in.
Well, and they go right from there to showing you Nora doing hospital stuff inside the hospital. That was when it hit me. I didn't know. Like when she's outside, I was like, oh, okay, she must.
I'm very glad that she didn't ninja chop and stab the dog because I thought that's what was going to happen.
Especially when the WLF guy said the dog's name. He called her like Bessie or something, and I was like, oh, Bessie.
Yeah.
Be safe, Bessie. Yeah. Don't die now. No more dog deaths, please. No dog death. But yeah, so this was another part where it's a little bit like the dog sniffs her, chases her down. She's crawled through some hole.
Right.
And the guy's like, oh, look, a hole. Must have been a critter. Well, nothing to see here. And just fucking, the dog's still going nuts. And he's like, no, come on now, Bessie. Now, granted, I was happy for this guy and Bessie, but I don't even remember if that's the correct dog name.
I definitely did not hear a Bessie.
Bessie sounds more like a cow name.
Bessie's a classic cow name.
Yeah. But the dude gives up pretty quick, which is just another piece of like, it's very video gamey. But regardless, we bounce straight from there to the inside the hospital where Nora is stitching someone up, and they're like a bunch of injured WLF from the most recent fight with the Seraphites or whatever. And just like that, Ellie is behind her. Was kind of a jump to make there. Like, from almost getting caught by a sniffing dog to being inside the building, seemingly in the depths of the building, in the hospital.
Remember, they had talked about exactly where Nora would be.
Yeah. So she had
through radio communication. They like Dina had figured out like she's going to be in the back right corner of this building.
Okay.
So
it was still kind of wild that she didn't have to fight anybody to get through there. She just kind of snuck her way in, but it's neither here nor there. So Ellie asks...
You underestimate the sneakiness.
I do. Great pull. Great pull. She asks where Abby is. Nora says she doesn't know. Nora says, like, we could have killed you. Ellie's like, hey, maybe you should have because I'm fucking crazy. Nora then seems like she's going to apologize. She does the head fake, which was frankly a really bad idea. She's like, sometimes at night I can still hear his screams talking about Joel, but then says that the little bitch got what he deserved. And I was like, oh, this woman is... she's going to have a rough death. So Nora throws something all over Ellie, and at first I was like, is that acid?
Yeah, I thought acid
Did
too.
she Phantom of the Opera her?
She did the acid throw. That's what I thought too.
Yeah, but I some
It's
other...
just like her bucket of cleaning stuff, I think.
Yeah, like soapy water or something.
Yeah.
She gets herself a little head start here, though. Runs off. Ellie chases her, and as Nora is running, she's like, intruder! Shoot her! Which, important to put a pin in, because, like, regardless of where the episode ends, I don't feel like Ellie... I don't... Shoot her! Shoot her! That's Jurassic Park. So I don't feel like Ellie's getting out of here clean, is my point. Regardless of what happens with her and Nora, it's hard to believe...
This is a big question, obviously.
Like, is she going to get captured here? Which, pin in it, let's save it for the end.
All right.
So...
And I did you're kind of bringing up like this, like the kind of ongoing suspension of belief in some of these moments.
Yeah.
I feel like this one was maybe my biggest one, is that once she's in the hospital, it seemed like there were too few I'm calling them baddies.
Yeah,
but,
they only show like two of them up on a balcony or a raised area.
They don't really give all that much chase.
Nah, like they pop a couple of shots and they're just like,
hey, don't go there. Stop that.
Nah, she got by. Darn, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ellie's chasing
just
her.
a poorly patrol. It's like they like have like the perimeter set for the hospital, and then like once you're in the perimeter, they're like, nah, they're good.
It's kind of stormtrooper vibes.
A little bit, yeah.
Like James Bond villain vibes a little.
Yep.
Ellie chases her while the WLF shoot at her. Nora hits a dead end, and because I guess my assumption is that because the two ladies at the top of the episode say, like, we're not going to tell anyone about the spores, I guess nobody or Nora is not aware of why the lower floors are sealed off, and the WLF seemingly forgot to seal the elevator, which was like cracked open, because that's what she opens up the elevator shaft.
So, okay.
And then jumps down, right?
I did not put this possibility together until you started like recapping the episode and reminded me that Hammerhand and Elise talk about how they're going to kind of keep this under wraps a little bit. They're not going to just like broadcast and tell everybody
there are spores on B2 and B1.
That it's airborne down in the basements, basically.
Right.
And so I was like, I was again kind of incredulous about this, that she would just go down there to kill herself. Like,
okay,
you
so
know
let's
what I mean?
save that and get to that part.
So, but Elise talks about how the way that they've sealed off B1, B2, the whole thing, is that the stairs, they did that whole barricade metal sheet thing.
Right.
And then with the elevators, they just dropped the elevators to to basically like one below.
So you wouldn't be able to get on the elevator.
So that you wouldn't be able to get on the elevator, and that the elevator itself would essentially create like a block. But that
didn't work.
Nora pulls open the elevator shaft doors,
right,
which they did not seal.
Yeah, that was dumb.
They probably should have sealed those,
and now they will. So Ellie follows Nora down to B2. The WLF soldiers that are chasing them are like, the shaft is open. The shaft is open. Seal off the hallway. Seal off the hallway. So they're like,
they know.
And that's where I think you're correct at the top of the episode. There's the soldiers that sealed off that area probably have an idea why.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not even willing to go near the elevator shaft that Ellie just escaped down,
right? Because
they're like, oh shit, it could be coming up through there.
Totally. Yeah.
So it's a good reason, but again, it's a little stormtroopery because they include the dialogue and in the subtitles like, oh no, the shaft is open, seal off the hallway. I was like, all right, but regardless. So Ellie starts making her way through B2.
Uh-huh.
Can almost immediately tell that there's something in the air. Like, I think she like pauses and is like,
yeah, and you
what
can
do I
see
feel?
You can see it on the screen. They do a really nice like visual effect of like this like just like haze,
almost
in
like
the air.
fairy dust.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And
yes, and then the spore when they're like when the tree people are like breathing out the spores.
Gnarly, dude. So she sees cordyceps growing all over the walls, all over the ceiling, fucking everywhere, and it's probably the most detailed version of this that we've seen since the museum in season 1.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say since the Upside Down in Stranger Things.
But it is reminiscent of that, though. Like, it's very reminiscent of that because it's almost like this is a different world. What is this shit?
Yeah.
It's
Gus,
so
baby. This is the world of Gus.
She finds one of what you're calling the tree people. They've become Gus.
Yeah, they've
become one with the Gus.
They are one with the Gus. Yes.
Overgrown by cordyceps, breathing out the spores, and then she finds another guy, which is Elise's son.
Yeah.
Elise from the beginning of the episode. His name is Leon Park, and they actually gave you his little name tag, L. Park, just in case you were an idiot and forgot. So it seems like what's happening is you go down there, there's spores, they slowly infect you, take you over, and then once the cordyceps has enough of a grip on you, it like walks you over to the wall, sits you down, and then grows around you to use you as like a spore breathing machine.
Yeah.
So that you're like, puh, puh. And I couldn't tell if it seemed like she was getting near them and they could register that and go, puh, like
yeah,
an attack.
They were definitely purposely breathing, trying to breathe spores.
I'm gonna get you.
Yeah. Now I don't. That was Gus using the vehicle of the human. I don't think they were like they weren't
consciously doing it.
They weren't now like voluntarily coughing. I think that was like the Gus in them.
Yeah, I agree.
Ejecting basically
the Gus inside them.
The Gus inside of them.
It was weaponizing the humans
Yeah.
and turning them into these spore spitters, right?
Yeah.
So Ellie is obviously immune and fine.
Spore spitters, yeah, exactly.
But still, I had a hard time because I was like, if I'm Ellie, just in my mindset, being me, and there's 37 years of life history to make this be the way I am. But even if I'm immune to the bite, I would be like, oh fuck, am I immune to the airborne version of this?
To the spore spitters, yeah.
To the spore spitters?
Yeah.
And she seemed pretty confident.
She does seem very
I'm just saying,
confident,
I would have been flipping out and probably bailed. But she finds an electrical box, turns on the red lights so that the vibes are right for gruesome murder. And then she finds Nora in a corner hacking up her lungs, right? As it's like slowly taking her over. Now, Nora sees her and what she says immediately is, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
Spores. We're breathing spores. We're infected. You killed us both. And I was like, did she? You did this. You ran down here.
Right.
Did you know or did you not know? Because it was... She clearly didn't know, right?
She couldn't have. No.
Because that would be suicide.
That would be dumb. That would be so dumb. Yeah. And
if your fear is that Ellie's going to kill you, what is the reasoning for going and killing yourself anyway?
Correct. I guess to kill her maybe is one read. Like you're going, like, at least you're getting her too. But no, I didn't buy that. Like at the very least, like she should have, once she got into that, like, hide behind something, grab something, then try to hit her in the face when she runs by. And if you don't, like, at least you're probably going to end up with like a quick death because she's going to have no choice but to fight and kill you.
Right. Yeah, this was bizarre.
Instead of finding a pipe and fucking shattering every bone in your leg.
She went in the same way Ellie did, which means she passed the tree people, the spore spitters.
Yeah.
And just was like, oh, gotta keep going. I guess she had no option at that point.
Yeah,
but
probably knew she was cooked.
It makes you wonder. The WLF don't definitively say at the top of the episode, Hammerhands and Elise, don't say, we have never seen this before. So it might not be completely new information to everybody that spores exist. It is new information that they exist in this fucking building that they're posted up in.
Yeah.
So that's my explanation for how Nora knows what is happening to herself. And why she blames Ellie and calls her a stupid bitch and says that Ellie killed them both, that I don't know. Because, like, she picked this path. She went down the goddamn shaft. She brought Ellie here, too. Ellie responds, did I? Nora realizes Ellie...
Red light bathing her in hellfire.
Oh, yeah.
It's the devil herself.
It's the devil inside her, dude. Nora realizes Ellie is her, the immune girl that they'd heard rumors about, right?
She is her.
That she's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not him.
Yeah.
Her. But in real life, they.
Yeah.
Wow.
She is them.
Yeah. She asks Ellie if she knows what Joel did. Ellie says she doesn't care. Nora then goes on to explain anyway, he killed everyone in that hospital, including one doctor, the one doctor who could have made a cure from you. And that was Abby's father. And then Ellie responds, I know. Kneels down to be at Nora's eye level and asks again, where's Abby? Nora coughs and simply says no. I guess that's all she can muster at this point. The negative answer. Ellie picks up a nearby piece of pipe off the ground and asks again, where is she? Nora responds no. So Abby starts wailing on her Ellie starts wailing on her legs with the pipe.
Freudian slip there.
It was, yeah. Nora screams. We get a big, "Where is she?" from Ellie.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, we're in a flashback to the past where Ellie is waking up in the morning and Joel comes in and says, "Hey, kiddo." And Joel is back. So first, let's unpack
Where is he?
what happened here. Yeah, it was straight Batman vibes. Straight Batman vibes from Ellie. So obviously this parallels what happened that first, important to note, Nora is the one who has her knee in Ellie's back and is forcing her to watch what Abby does to Joel on Joel's death day. Okay? So if you're like, oh, why is she so pissed off at this random Nora girl? Shouldn't she be after Abby? No, this is basically, it seems like Ellie is okay with at least getting this bit of revenge if it's all she gets. Like she's taken this Nora girl down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to feel, what we've gotten bits and pieces of throughout the course of the series so far, that like Ellie's got a lot of darkness in her, right? I think the first moment when you realize this is when they're escaping the Boston QZ and Joel has to beat to death that random soldier who he used to sell Vicodin to or whatever, and Ellie seems like she kind of likes watching it. She's like, "Ooh, this is exciting." But there's been all these little moments sprinkled throughout where you're kind of like, you could see the darkness in Ellie, right? Yep. Tommy has also expressed that his concern is that Ellie not do the same thing that Joel did, which is like give in to that darkness and kill a bunch of people basically, and like lose little pieces of your soul along the way, right? So she's doing that. The other important thing to note is obviously we've wondered for, what are we at, episode 5? For a couple hours now worth of TV. Did she know? And Barrett, I think you were right. I think, because the only piece of what I was on was, okay, I think that after Ellie returns home on New Year's Eve and sees Joel playing guitar on his front porch and does not say a word to him and walks right past him, that there must have been a conversation between Joel and Ellie between that scene and Joel leaving on patrol with Dina the next day. Now, I am 99% confident that is not what happened. It's what you thought. Because you were sort of on the tip that, like, at some point in the 5-year time jump that we did not get to bear witness to, it had to have come out. Because why else would Ellie be so angry at Joel? Right? And I was chalking it up to just teenage dad conflict.
Right.
But I think you were right.
I think so too.
What we're going to get here is our flashback episode as the penultimate episode. And the most likely scenario seems like Eugene, Gail, the therapist's husband, who was a former Firefly, probably got word through like an old contact what happened at the hospital, puts the pieces together that it was Joel.
Okay.
Joel has to kill him, and Ellie is somehow either witness to it or whatever, and Joel has to go and tell her, here's what happened.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to get next week.
Yeah.
That flashback that we've been hoping for with the Eugene shit. I just think it's all very tied together.
Yep.
Eugene's death.
Piece, yeah. Okay.
And whatever reason, lie, I'm going to assume it's a lie that Joel and Ellie come up with for why Eugene had to be dispatched.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that in reality, the reason was because he found out what Joel did.
Okay. Yeah.
And was going to be held accountable somehow.
I could see that.
Because, just because he quit the Fireflies in 2010 or whatever doesn't mean he doesn't have loyalties or like connections to them
and
still.
That seemed like an important piece of the Eugene story, right?
Right.
That they dropped that on us in episode 2.
And you have to keep the context of like what the Fireflies were trying to do is end all this, create a cure and save humanity.
Yeah.
So it's easy to imagine that Eugene or anyone else who found this out in Jackson would be pretty fucking pissed off at Joel. Like, you took our one shot at ending this never-ending battle against the infected, and you murdered it.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's where we're going with all this, which will be heavy to have to watch unfold. It was cool to see Pedro Pascal's face again. We both kind of assumed we would get a lot more of him this season than we have so far. And now it also does feel like we'll get that flashback episode next week, and the finale will be no flashback, just all set up for season 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then who knows if there will be any Joel in season 3, but I kind of feel like they'll find ways to continue plugging him in with flashbacks and shit. I just don't know how many opportunities they'll have after we tell this Eugene story.
Yeah, it's a good question, and there was a lot kind of like spoken about in the aftermath of that episode too, about how, like, in hindsight, this actually makes a lot of sense because Pedro Pascal's dance card is like chock full. He's got the Fantastic Four movies and then subsequent sequels that he'll have to film. He's that's the obvious like giant one, but he has other stuff. He is a very popular, in demand movie star at this point.
One of the most sought after, I would argue currently.
So it like, could they get him for a once a season guest spot? Yeah, probably. But how often they go back to that well is definitely to be determined. I did note, I watched the intro sequence closely this episode, and there are only 4 mains. There are 4 actors listed as
main cast.
As main cast, and it's Dina, Ellie, Tommy, and Jesse, and that's it.
Oh wow!
So that's pretty interesting for season 2. That there's really only like technically 4 main characters, and then everybody else is like basically a guest star.
Right.
And that would include Caitlin Dever and Jeffrey Wright, and kind of all these kind of
Catherine O'Hara.
Yes, these kind of secondary characters. So that's kind of interesting. I think that right where we leave off here, just to come back to the Ellie being in the basement, Nora is probably alone in this world outside of the little Abby group in like knowing that there was a potential immune girl out there, right? So I think that Ellie probably has some sort of relatively easy way out of this, because I think everybody involved at that compound, at that hospital, is like, whoever's down there is dead, 100%. You know what I mean?
We're not going down there. And whoever's down there is screwed.
Is screwed. So I think that she'll be able to somehow
find some way out.
Get out of there.
The problem is she's below ground.
Yeah.
But, I think you're probably
climbing up
right.
Elevator shafts, coming back out.
Well, there's probably some sort of a ladder or some shit she can find, some emergency exit type scenario.
Yeah.
That she can get out of there, because that is the protection that she has is the spores. Yep. Nobody is going down there, right?
Yep.
So
status of Jesse and Dina is an obvious concern. At this point, one
of the two groups, Ellie being a group and Jesse and Dina being a group, feels like it has to get captured here. That not everyone's getting away scot-free. And now that you're giving me reason to believe Ellie is probably fine, I think Jesse and Dina might be captured.
Okay. Who is it worse to get captured by at this point?
Seraphites of the WLF? Yeah. I think the WLF or the Seraphites are probably worse.
I feel like you have a better chance of talking yourself into living with the Seraphites.
I don't know. That guy was like, I'll join you. My bad. I forgot. I fucking totally will worship the prophet with you. And they just fucking ripped his guts out, dude.
Yeah, I know. But I feel like they knew he was WLF.
They did, yeah. They did.
But I don't know how you'd convince them that you're not WLF, so that's a good point. It's a bad spot.
You'd have to go in
but if
being
you get
like...
captured by WLF, Abby's going to come... The Abby's going to come around, figure it all out, and you're definitely dead. So I don't know. It's
tough to say.
Yeah. 6 in one hand, a half dozen in the other, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, it's a tough spot.
In between a rock and a hard place.
So we could assume, let's just doing a little bit of storyboarding here.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 6, flashback.
Seems like it's going to be a flashback.
Joel, Eugene, Joel telling Ellie what he did, Ellie's reaction to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole episode. I think it could be the whole episode.
I think so too.
Episode 7, the season finale, maybe Ellie having to try and find Jesse and Dina.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because I'm still having a hard time believing that we will see the Ellie versus Abby showdown in season 2.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
not happening.
Season 3, because we have not even checked in with Abby. We haven't even seen her face.
I do think we will see Abby in the finale.
I agree,
but I do not.
But not with Ellie.
But not with Ellie.
Yeah. So, and that gets us out of season 2 right there. So it's like, you've kind of got the setup here. It's a nice one. I enjoy it. I thought on the whole, episode 5 was really good. There were a few moments where I was like, yeah, okay, there's some awkward plot armor here, but fine, whatever.
Yes, this episode had plenty of what I kind of often call out with the show is the stuff that feels like a video game. That you're like, oh, this is a level, this is a boss, this is a
mission.
A mission, yes. You had a great point about that I really liked about the Seraphites in the park, how they like reach their perimeter and they're like, oh, we can't go further than this. Must go back.
And that's that.
And that's that.
Yeah.
And you've escaped them. So that's great. Much like in Grand Theft Auto, how like if you beat the cops like for a long enough time,
just run for long enough, they give up.
They give up. Yeah.
You have 0 stars. It's exactly the same. Yes.
So so there were definitely some pieces like that, but I do think this episode was very, very effective. And while I wasn't, when Ellie has Nora cornered down in the basement, I don't feel like I'm rooting for Ellie. So I don't want to say that. I'm not like, yes, fucking kill her. But I do think that there's something that I find captivating getting to see this piece of Ellie, which I think we've known is there for a long time and has been very buried by this like love story with Dina so far. Yeah. Right?
Got real cutesy there for an episode.
It got very cute. I'm going to be a dad, and like their little like banter that they've got, like it's all very good, but like this is lying just under the surface and is ready to explode. And I thought that, and I think Bella's really good at that. Like, dude, that was a great performance there at the end by Bella Ramsey. Very believable, very authentic, very scary, like intimidating. Whatever.
This is why she got cast.
Yes,
this is why she got cast.
Yes.
For everybody who bitches and moans about like Ellie in her day-to-day walking life, the scenes where she has to become a monster is the reason Bella Ramsey got cast, and that's that fire you saw in her when she was Little Lady Mormont on Game of Thrones. That was so believable. Mm-hmm. You're like, holy shit, who is this badass 10-year-old who I would be legitimately scared of if I encountered her? And she has that in her. And I think, I just want to say, like, I saw the fucking memes this week, man. I saw Ellie's face on Doug Hefner or whatever from King of Queens.
King of Queens, yeah.
And I couldn't get it out of my head during this episode. And I get people who are like, well, she doesn't capture Ellie. It's blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever. Everybody's got their reasoning. And I'm like, I'm just saying, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I will hear people out who will complain about Bella Ramsey as Ellie until scenes like this, where I'm like, who the fuck else is going to be a little girl that convinces you she's got that inside of her? And I think she's so good at it, dude. It's so convincing.
Yeah.
And so, as some of these other scenes and I'm going to be a dad might have rubbed people the wrong way, but then you see this and you got to be okay with this casting. To me, it's the thing that justifies all of it. It's like, and to be frank, I enjoy her anyway.
Same.
But
the other stuff doesn't, honestly, it just feels more of like the kind of the video gameness of it all.
Yeah, than it being her fault. As an actress or whatever. So
and then she turns in performances like this one, and I'm like,
oh, yep,
this she crushed.
It's horrifying,
it.
Dude.
So
she's a little psychopath in there, Ellie.
Yeah.
So no, I'm glad they didn't give us more of that too, because she swings the pipe once, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
Sunday night. Barrett wouldn't have slept at all if they had kept going.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad we didn't get any skull crushing.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we'll come back to that.
You can't have skull crushing and disembowelment while hanging all in the same episode.
No, especially not an episode that features hammer hands.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we'll even go back to this scene, or if next time we see Ellie in the present day storyline, she will have gotten the information she needs from Nora.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I just said, we don't need to see this. We don't need to see the gruesome.
We saw what we needed to see.
Is she going to come out of this with info or not? We don't know. They left that one up in the air too. So it's not like she yells out like she's on the 6th floor as she's getting her legs broken. Gruesome stuff though. I thought overall it was a really solid episode, and I agree with your assessment at the top of the pod that like it builds the tension pretty much throughout. And even when you're getting these cutesy little moments, you get the feeling that they're going to lead somewhere bad.
Yeah.
And the spores being introduced.
That's a
was
big. That
fucking
seems like
horrifying.
a big thing.
Felt like a really big deal.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they handle that moving forward. Just because it's an impossible obstacle to clear unless you've got a fucking gas mask or you're immune like Ellie. And yeah. So we also save like Isaac and Abby for probably just the finale, if I had to guess. So there's a lot of good shit to work with still, and I think the show's in a really good place. Really enjoyed this one, and it was shorter. And frankly, that played a big part in how much I enjoyed it. Like shaving 10 minutes off, dude. It does wonders.
Dude, 100%.
It does wonders.
You know where I stand on that.
I do. But this is one of those ones where, like, when the credits rolled, I was like, "Oh, Barrett's got to love that." And, like, fuck yeah,
I especially loved it with my as noted late start time.
Yeah,
I was looking at the clock and I was like, "Oh, fuck!" Like, and then I saw that 45 minutes, and then that was huge for me.
And I never get to start on time either. It's usually like 9:30 before I can start watching because one of my fucking kids won't go to sleep. When they're supposed to. Right now, my son takes like an hour and a half to go to bed every night. So I needed that. I needed that 45, 46-minute episode and was very happy with it. On our way out, a reminder, Barrett and I are covering Andor Season 2 exclusively on patreon.com/oystersclamscockles. We've got a Rebel Scum tier in there and also in the Mollusk Militia. You can receive those Andor episodes, another of which we will be doing this week, I assume.
Yes.
So we'll be doing episodes 4, 5, and 6 this week. Now, I realize 7, 8, and 9 come out.
They out, baby.
Oh, they're out. 10, 11, 12 come out tomorrow. Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're not keeping up, but we're doing the best we can. And if you want to hear us talk a little bit of Andor, a little bit of Star Wars. Head over to patreon.com/oystersclamscockles. Only 2 episodes left. The Last of Us left. Penultimate podcast next week. We'll be doing a hotline call-driven episode later this week, likely on Thursday, where Barrett and I take calls from our listeners who are subscribed on Patreon, and we respond to them. People lay out theories. They give us video game comparisons that are spoiler-free. We dive deeper into some of the biggest scenes of the episode. Every week on patreon.com/oystersclamscockles, where if you sign up right now, there's a 7-day free trial so you can check out how awesome the 4 existing hotline call-driven episodes we have done already during Season 2 of The Last of Us are. Patreon, patreon.com/oystersclamscockles is the link in the description of our episode. Please support our sponsors. This week we had factormeals.com/OCC50 off. Code OCC50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. There's also a link in the description of our episode for that. Check out Bolin Media's other shows. I do the Ross Bolin podcast if you want more from me. And if you are an F1 fan, we have what I believe is now the largest American F1 influencer on our company roster here. Jared Borislow, otherwise known as J-Bone, does Formula Bone every week, which you can watch on youtube.com/@FormulaBone, where he does previews and recaps of all the F1 races all season long. And you can follow @Formula Bone on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc. as well, and also listen on the audio platforms if you want to do the strict audio podcast version of Formula Bone. Follow Mr. Barrett Dudley on Twitter and Instagram @Barrett Dudley, BARRETT DUDLEY.
It's not a peace sign. It's for 2 R's and 2 T's.
Yeah. The double up. I'm @WR Bolin. Go to bolinmedia.com/shop to grab yourself some merch. Barrett, any parting wisdom you want to lay out there? You're going to try to catch up on some sleep tonight?
Yes.
You watching the rehearsal at all?
I've not started the rehearsal
Gotta do
yet.
it, Barrett.
Yeah.
Get in there, man.
Okay, all right.
Get weird with me, dude.
I'll try. I'll try.
If you do, we can talk about that on Patreon too. That's another thing we do on Patreon.
Yeah,
we talk about some of the other shows we're watching.
Indeed.
You know? People seem to enjoy that.
Good.
They seem to enjoy that. Thanks for being here with us today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. We look forward to hearing everyone's reactions on Patreon later this week and reading them on social media as well. Until next time, remember, if you own Movie L, you use Movie L. And that time I pronounced it correctly.